What up?
Yep, this is gonna go up on the tube of you, so maybe a few people watch it that don't know much about me, or Mr. Brian Barnhouse, or Mr. Jeremy Vincent. So I just thought it'd be kind of fun, and we might learn something about each other. You know, we've known each other for the better part of probably at least a decade, close to it. I don't know how long you guys have known each other, but I've known Jeremy since 2011, I think it was.
I knew it was long.
Yeah.
I didn't know how long. That means Barnhouse and I have been around each other for longer, hasn't it?
Yeah, I seen a memory or something popped up on Facebook like a week or so, and it was like, wow, it's been a decade, man. It's crazy. Yeah, I think it's when I ran sound over at Melrose one time, and the memory popped up, and it's like, wow, it's been 10 years already. So crazy.
Feels like a year. It's gone by so quick.
Now the last couple of weeks, it felt like a year.
Maybe.
Taking forever. I got a list of questions. I don't know if you guys have anything, but I'm looking at my list here, seeing what we got here. So, for you guys, how did you get started playing music in the church, Jeremy?
It was through college, I think. Actually, it started. I never played in the church until I think it was after college, believe it or not. So I was a freshman in 1999, and I picked up the guitar like in 98, 99, I think it was. And, like all of us playing songs that we loved, from some of our favorite artists. And I never played, I didn't ever really play church music. I picked up a guitar and started playing like 90s music, believe it or not, or something like that. And then I think it was in college I started playing for campus ministry events and stuff like that. Campus ministry programs. There was a Baptist program, there was a Methodist program, FCA, and I was playing it for those. And then after that, I think toward the end of my college, I had started interning at a church in Owensboro, Bellevue Baptist Church. And I was tasked with working with their youth to do music. And so I've still maintained some of those relationships. One of them is actually, you guys know Josiah. He was the guitar player, and he's ended up being one of my best friends through the years. So that was kind of my church music intro.
Well, there at Kentucky Wesleyan.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
K-Dub.
K-Dub. I know Brian's intro.
You know me, man.
Maybe I don't. I don't know.
Well, I mean, my whole thing was I was looking for something, a way to volunteer with the church initially, and through one of the ministry fairs or something like that, lucked upon, chatting with Lewis and getting involved with the sound team initially and running sound and blessed to be paired up with a guy like Brandon Henbest to kind of show me the ropes and one thing led to another.
For Blacks on Cherry still, right?
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
Did the sound thing for a while, and just from there, really started to build community with you guys, right? And thought, man, I want to find a way to be more of a part of this. And at the time, my son David was looking at taking guitar lessons, and I thought, you know what? I'm 30, but I'm gonna pick up the guitar and try to learn this thing too. So started working with Eric Self and trying to learn some guitar and luckily Vincent gave a hack like me an opportunity to get up on stage and start playing with the group. And looking back now, it's like, what'd you say, 10 years? So, I guess I don't have any excuses about being the new guy anymore.
Well, I love that you decided to. I mean, I think most people will take up an instrument in their teens, and so for you to be already an established father, been married for a little while, for you to want to pick up something and learn something new, was that totally brand new, or did you maybe like in high school dabble with the guitar and then whatever happened you kind of lose touch with it over the years, or was it like the first time picking up a guitar was a week before the lesson or something?
Yeah, no, I had the idea in my head, and even mom and dad had bought me a guitar, really kind of like the Christmas of my 6th grade year, I think. And so the summer of in between 6th grade and 7th grade, I think it took like 2 or 3 lessons. And want to play songs like "The Saints Come Marching In" and stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, it's not really what I'm looking to do. Didn't find much interest there, and then football season started, and football season kind of got my attention, and really never got back to it till that time when I was 30.
I got you. That's cool, because yeah, that's honestly, no joke, that's inspiring, because I mean, we all know that we're in your 30s, and as you get older and you have families and jobs and things, it's harder to learn a brand new anything. So
Mm.
whether it be a sport or a hobby or take up something, it takes a lot more effort than it would be for your 15-year-old child to pick it up, because they would almost be a sponge at it, or a 10-year-old, for some things. So,
Yeah, the one thing I've kind of had to battle myself is like, I want to compare myself to other people my age. But more often than not, those folks have usually been playing since they were 12, 13, 15. And, they got 15 plus years on me,
hmm
and that's not always a fair comparison, but that is how you kind of grade yourself, with people of your age. So try not lose sight of that too much.
well, I have to say, from a personal standpoint, for you, your ramp up from like first, like knowing you, and through the sound, and then you're like, I'm gonna play guitar, and then you learning, and then it was like, you played some at church, and then I don't know, you got to a point where it was like, he's a legit amazing guitar player, not just like, oh, he's a guy that picked up a guitar, can play a little bit. I mean, I'd put you in the circle with just about anybody out there, you know. But I think that really speaks to your work ethic, and you have to be smart, to pick this stuff up. It's not, there's some dumb people that can play really good guitar, but I mean, the smart people are the ones who pick it up and do like you have done, picking it up as quickly and as cleanly as you do. Because some of the stuff we do is, it takes some chops to do some of the Hillsong things and the Bethel things and whatnot. So, and the sounds, that's you really picked up on which delay sound do I need, what setting do I need this chorus at, where's the reverb need to go. Me, that's like, that's like, close enough, it's whatever. And you're the type of guy who would be like, no, it needs to be 14 milliseconds on that delay. That would be probably way better. And I'm like, it's like, I'm just plug it in and play. Let's go.
Yeah. I never overanalyze anything, do I?
You are the smarts of the group.
Only the next guitar you're gonna buy. That's what you overanalyze.
Oh shoot. Well, Ben, let's not skip over you, man. Talk through your journey a little bit for us.
Well, I'd never really been around. I'd been around church a little bit as a kid. My grandmother went to church, but as a family, my mom and dad were never into church or very religious. No praying, no really anything. You just kind of know of the God and church, just like anything else. But I started playing guitar, and after I graduated high school, like I don't know, 2 years out of high school, the cats are cats are fighting. If you hear something in the background, it's two cats going crazy with each other. But no, I got a call from my old music director. He said, "Hey, this lady at a church needs a bass player on a Saturday. You think you could fill in?" And I was like, "Yeah." I think I was 20, 21 or something at the time. And went in there. Really nice lady. And they were doing what they called a seeker service. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that. Jeremy might have. But it's kind of they play pop music and do a skit, and there's a little bit of talk, but it's not a church service per se. It's more of a, hey, if you like this, come Sunday morning, and there'll be a lot more God and Jesus involved.
Bait and switch.
Yeah, the bait and switch. The old Christian bait and switch. But I just enjoyed the people, and it was a neat experience. And I'm the type of person that whatever I can do to help anything or anybody, I don't care if it's a polka band or a jazz band or a thrash metal band. If somebody called tomorrow and said, "Hey, we've got this thrash metal concert we got to do, and we need a bass player," I'd be like, "All right, I don't know what I'm doing, but if you need help, I can help you out." So started with that, and I did that every month for I don't know, a year or two, and really got more to know these Christians, these crazy nice people who actually cared about me and liked me and wanted me to be around, and started doing more in the church. And next thing you know, I'm getting baptized and going to Bible studies and attending church there on a regular basis. And then I moved about a block and a half from that church. It was on the other side of town, and I ended up moving about a block. I could walk there in about 5 minutes from my house to the church. So just so I could be closer to the friends and the new family that I made at this church. And that was 96 is when I started the seeker service, and 98 is when I got baptized.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever knew that about you.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
Thanks. And then, I left Hillview in 2009, took some time off, and Diane called and said, "Hey, we're about to do 2 services. Easter's coming up." I think this was March or something, end of February. I think it was end of February. "Hey, come if you can, play bass." And I ain't never left.
We're glad you did, man.
That's right.
So it's been a crazy 9-10 years. It's seen so many ups and downs in my life. It's not even funny, and still kicking and screaming.
Same, man. Yeah. We've all done a lot of life together, which is probably the coolest thing about it.
Yeah.
Been with Barnhouse through Colin's multiple heart surgeries, and we've done a lot. All of us have done a lot of life together, and I think that's probably the most beautiful thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Music does that, though. It brings you together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just the invitation to get people together, and then you go, "Oh, I just met this person, but I think I want to hang out with them."
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, this perfect stranger. Don't know who this guy is, but I think we're going to become best friends someday.
That's right.
Well, awesome. Well, that kind of shows us Brian's origin story. For you, Jeremy, so were you playing in high school at all? Did you pick up guitar, and were you the guy at the bonfires with the acoustic singing, what is it? Kumbaya, and You Are My Sunshine, and no, but you're probably doing some Collective Soul.
Yeah, I would have been the guy at the bonfire playing Every Rose Has Its Thorn.
There you go.
I'm Not Kiss, Poison, or whatever. And actually, I think Bret Michaels wrote that, right?
Yeah.
That's more. Yeah, but anyway. I started, there's the guy that lived down the road from me, and we rode the bus together, and I ended up picking him up when I was 16 to take him to school. And he played guitar. He was the first person I remembered. Well, him and I don't know if you guys remember David Miles that used to come and play years and years ago. David
Absolutely.
was he picked out my first guitar, believe it or not, at a yard sale, and it was a piece of crap. Hope David's not watching this. I love David, but that guitar, great starter beater guitar, but man, it was a piece of junk. And but I think a lot of people started that way, you know.
I did.
And so that was in high school. Yeah, that was in high school. And David could play, man. David, one of the greater guitar players, you know, definitely that 70s, 80s rock kind of guy. And so, but transition to this dude that lived down the road, his name was Robert. And Robert ended up, he was like me, he loved 90s music. And so he taught me a lot of chords, taught me a lot of fingerings and things, how to play songs. And Robert ended up kind of he took the path of joining a band and played for a little bit. I think opened for some pretty good acts, but didn't last. Obviously, it didn't last. But he was a great musician too. So, and then I just took it to college with me and started playing from there. But yeah. So I was probably about what 17, something like that. I'll tell you, like I'll tell everyone that asked the question of who inspired you. It was watching I think I told you all this, was watching a Sheryl Crow concert. Now Sheryl played bass. She led from the bass. She was the lead singer and played bass. And I remember that I was in high school, and I remember watching that concert and just being like, I want to play guitar. That was just like so many others. They see something, they see an artist, and it inspires them. She was probably the inspiration to pick up an instrument came from her, came from David, came from Robert. Those kind of three combined. So.
Well, and Brian, you said Eric Self. Do you still take lessons from him, or did you just take it for a short amount of time?
Yeah, lessons for a short amount of time. I mean, he grew to be a good friend. I haven't taken lessons for a number of years, but it's kind of funny. It's because I think Lewis is the one that hooked me up there, and Lewis's suggestion was go talk to Derek Mitz, right? So
Right.
that's kind of how I ended up in the tone shop, was seeking out Derek. And it was kind of like, well, Derek doesn't really do lessons. He's more of the, repair tech. And so that's when they kind of hooked me up with Eric, and the rest is history, as they would say. But I think 3 years or so, maybe I took lessons. So it's been probably about 7 years since I took a lesson from him.
It's funny that you mentioned the tone shop, because probably about that time you were taking lessons. I still was friends. Derek and I played on the same team at Hillview for 3 or 4 years, give and take. Well, we played on the same team for about a year, and then I think I got switched to another team. But yeah, I remember going to the tone shop, and I'd have things worked on. I brought an amp in there, some guitars to be worked on, and Derek did some stuff for me. Used to be the setup, all my stuff. So the guitar's still set up the way he set it up, like 12 years ago, 15 years ago. Just had new strings put on it. That's the only difference. So it's funny, we may have even crossed paths, and not even known it at one point. So
Yep.
it's funny. Small world.
It is.
It is in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been playing since I've been around music my whole life. You guys know I've been around music my whole life. I just pulled up a picture. My dad was a pro musician, for those that don't know. And so there's a picture of me. It's hard to see. Good enough. And but I've been around it since I was born, and but never cared to touch a guitar until I met a buddy of mine who played drums, and he's like, well, your dad plays bass and I play drums. My dad plays drums, so you should learn how to play guitar and we can make a band. And it was like, you're like 14. I think we were 14 at the time. I think we're 7th grade or 6th grade. And, you're in 7th grade. You don't know anything. It's just like, yeah, you think you could fly a plane or, you know, do whatever you want. You don't have any idea what you don't know. How hard can it be? It's just a guitar, And so in guitar for me, I had a cheapy acoustic guitar, kind of like Jeremy's, like it was a piece of crap, cheapy guitar laying around the house. And it hurt my fingers. I was just like, I don't like this. It hurts my fingers. My dad's got a bass and the strings are way bigger, and I bet you they won't hurt my fingers. Um, and so I messed around with his bass a little bit around the house, and we found one after I played around a little bit. We found one in a Montgomery Ward or J.C. Penney catalog. I think it was Montgomery Ward catalog, and we had to order it and go pick it up. And I still have it to this day. It doesn't look like it did 30 years ago or 25 years ago, but I still have that original guitar, and it and from there it seemed like it was like that was my Thor's hammer. We watching a lot of Thor the last couple of days, so going to be some Marvel references probably thrown in here, but yeah, it was just that was my thing. It was like I can do this. It was weird. It came to me now looking back. I'm like it came easy to me. Like some people have to fight tooth and nail just to learn how to play a C chord. And I was doing stuff, and maybe it was just because it was around me a whole lot as a kid, and I just never realized it, and it just had like that osmosis where it just kind of music was around and in me for so much, and I just never realized it until I put on a guitar and wanted to become the next big rock star.
So what did your initial learning process look like? Did you take any lessons? Your dad give you any tips? You just lock yourself in a bedroom and go at it?
Yes and no. My dad did give me a couple of lessons. He wasn't super schooled. He did know a lot more than I think he realized as far as theory goes and whatnot. But one of the first things he taught me was the 12-bar blues. The 1-4-5 12-bar blues, showed me how to do the walking pattern for the bass part to do that. So showed me that, and then but that's really about it. He would show me a couple songs that, because I would get up when his band would play from time to time, and I'd be like, hey, can I play with your band? Or he'd say, hey, you should play with us, and I'd get up and do like one song. And it was like Mustang Sally or In the Midnight Hour or whatever they were doing. And so he showed me how to play that song, whatever it was that we were going to play. But as far as anything else, no. I was in the high school jazz band all 4 years, playing bass guitar and tuba in the marching band, mainly because the marching band was going to Disney World for spring break, and I wanted to go with my friends everybody in jazz band was in marching band except for me. It was like all the sax players and trumpet players and everybody played something in band, and I was the only one just hanging out going, well, you guys have fun. And they're like, dude, you know how to read bass clef, you could learn how to play tuba, and then you could go to Disney World with us. And it was like, yeah, sure, I could learn how to play a brass instrument, no problem. How hard can it be? Barely an inconvenience. So yeah, so I learned tuba and went to Disney World, and yeah.
Awesome.
So as far as lessons, no formal lessons. Learned from everybody around me. I ask questions. How did you do that? How did you do this? YouTube is awesome because I can look up stuff and put that in that. But yeah, I think it would have been nice early on to have had some actual like lessons, but like just about everybody else, learn by ear. Show me how to play that.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So, any? Did you guys have any questions or curious about anything? JV, you got a list or anything?
I love just hearing music stories,
You know?
and I think it would be interesting at some point to tackle what it's like playing worship music, for lack of a better word, worship music, church music, we'll call it.
Yeah.
What it's like to tackle that, and what that looks like from week to week. That could be fun to really talk about because we have a lot of experience with that. So, yeah, your timer's counting down.
Yeah. Crap.
Last time it went ahead and upgraded you, I thought.
Yeah. It says remaining time 9 minutes. Oh well, I guess we've got 9 minutes.
Just give them your credit card, man. It's all good.
I'm not upgrading for like $150 a year or some dumb thing. It's like, so. All right. Well, I guess if we don't get upgraded, we'll maybe tackle one more kind of question or subject. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that would be good, Jeremy. You're talking about worship music. Yeah, that could be a whole separate thing. Just
Probably could. How about this one? This is my favorite. This is my favorite question for musicians. If you can, and this is always hard for people to do, can you name your favorite recording, favorite record, favorite CD, favorite cassette, favorite 8-track, whatever, vinyl? Can you narrow it down to one?
to one. I
To
usually,
one.
for me, when I pose that, I usually give like 3 or 5 because
Top
yeah, like
5.
top 5, like high fidelity, top 5.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, that's why
one,
I'm going one. I'm going all the way. Only one.
I'll take that
C
challenge.
to C.
What is it?
What is it?
Yeah, you
For
said
me?
yeah.
Oh, by far, U2 Joshua Tree.
That's a
The
good one.
Joshua Tree is number one. And, you guys know I got to go see him about 3 years ago at the stadium in Louisville. And I cried. It was an emotional experience. It was amazing. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that I remember joining a one of those mail order CD, BGM, whatever they call them, BMI,
Columbia House,
whatever
BMG.
things. Yeah, remember that? Where they stuck it to you on shipping and handling, and you ended up getting CDs, but it cost you about how much it cost for the
Yeah.
whole package.
Yeah.
But yeah, for a penny you can get 15 CDs, but you're paying $100 by the time it's all over with.
Yeah.
But and I got the Joshua Tree, and I'll be honest with you, I'd never heard it before, never heard it. And this was like early. This was probably middle school, high school, early high school. And I picked it up thinking, I want to listen to this. I like U2, but or what I've heard of them so far, but I'd never heard that album. And that's crazy because that's, their biggest album probably of all time. So,
Yeah.
how about y'all?
B?
Man, mine is Pearl Jam 10. And it's because, I mean, I listened to a lot of music before that, and mom and dad were big musical influences for me in terms of what they listened to on the radio and records that they played at the house. And there's a lot of Motown, a lot of, Daddy, he listened to the oldies channel. So there's a lot of those influences, but, for me, Pearl Jam 10 was like that first album I went out and bought. Is like I discovered music on my own for the first time. And it was my sound, the sound of my generation. Mom and dad didn't necessarily approve, but again, it was me discovering music for the first time, music of my generation. Still got the CD, still got the jewel case that came in. And, it's for me, that's my album, man. Pearl Jam 10.
Good choice.
Yeah, those are two. I was trying to, while you guys are talking, I'm listening, but I'm thinking, because like my brain goes in 1,000 directions. It's like, which genre, which decade, we could break them down. But I think this is two, and I'll tell you why there's two. Because one probably would be, if I had to have just one CD, it would be um, Chicago's greatest hits. I just love Chicago, love a horn band, love anything where it mixes jazz, rock, blues, pop, harmonies, percussion, all sorts of stuff. But like talking like Brian did, the first record from one of those BMG Columbia House things, and it came in the mail, and it was Appetite for Destruction. And
Mm-hmm.
man, it was like, okay, yeah, everybody knows Welcome to the Jungle, and everybody knows Sweet Child of Mine. But to get into Mr. Brownstone and Night Train, man, that song is just melts my face every time I listen to it. The guitar parts, it's just Slash, and between Duff McKagan on bass doing stuff that other guys of that era weren't doing, and then the drummer, everybody in that band was. I think we now know all the crazy stuff that went on during that time. But if you listen to that record and you tell somebody, oh, these guys are doing drugs during this, there's no way that you really could be that high and do the stuff that they did. Because there's guys that spend their whole lives in studios that couldn't replicate or come up with those stuff on the spot like they did. So I think there's a little bit of when you hear about Appetite for Destruction, there's a little bit of embellishment on the craziness behind the scenes, because I think there's a whole lot of seriousness trying to put that record together. And it's from front to back, it's one of the most complete records.
Yeah.
So, but I love Chicago.
Yep. Great choices. I do need to be clear, and I didn't say this, is when I got to see you two, they performed the Joshua Tree front and back. There was a reunion. It was a celebration of the 30 years of that album.
I was going to say, yeah, it was the 30th anniversary.
So anyway, I wanted to be clear about that. But great selections, man. It's hard to narrow down to one. It really is, because you probably rip off about five. I was thinking about, dad, all the stuff that my dad introduced me to, and my mom introduced me to. So a lot of dad's old country, things like Patsy Cline. Oh my goodness. Fabulous, obviously. And then, things like mom loved 80s pop music. So like the Elton John of that era, the Billy Joel, the Rod Stewart of that era, all that stuff takes me back to riding in the car with mom. So music is the only thing, at least in my mind. I know that's probably not it's not accurate for everybody, but just for me, music is one of those things that takes you to something specific, a specific moment, a specific situation, a memory, what have you.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Well, it looks like we're about out of time, guys. So maybe I'll upgrade and we'll be able to talk a little bit longer next time.
I love it, man. Thanks for inviting us, or me especially.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
I look forward to it. Maybe on a regular.
That sounds great.
All right. Well, boys, we'll sign off, and y'all have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. See y'all.